OK, we're coming onto the phone in that some said should never happen, including me. Peter Neville's here. You're an animal behaviourist, and obviously you've got that dog well under control there, Peter. You can let him go if you like. OK, but this is Sam, isn't it, who's hiding under the table?
This is Ben.
This is Ben, OK, right. He'll be all right. They're just here as what we call set dressing to embarrass the guest, really. You're taking calls in a kind of a sex pet phone-in. I mean, because pets and sexual behaviour can be extremely embarrassing.
That's right. You know, we take on animals. They're programmed to reproduce themselves. They're responsive to their hormone systems, to their day length and so on. And then we bring them up in a human environment that says sex is off the menu. And then we look surprised when they mount the cushions, mount the guests.
Well, Auntie Vi looks surprised when that happens. OK, well, listen, I didn't think we were going to get any calls on this, but apparently hundreds of you have been calling in, so thank you for that. Let's start with Kim from East Sussex. Morning, Kim.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, what have you got?
I've got a flat coat retriever.
A what?
A flat coat retriever.
Flat coat retriever, yes. Well, fine. What's the problem?
Well, when my husband and I start getting amorous of an evening or whatever on the sofa,
yes.
He just starts walking around simulating sex, and it's embarrassing.
Oh, how awful.
Exactly the problem.
Well, hang on. What do you do when that happens, Kim?
Well, we have to stop and shout at him.
I can think of more radical solutions than that, but...
You've got a contraceptive dog there, haven't you?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. OK, what should she do?
Well, what we have to remember is that dogs are pack animals, as we know, and when the top breeding pair start to look like they're courting, look like it's going to lead to mating, other animals are going to get excited. So what's happening here is Kim's dog is getting involved.
Right.
What we really have to do is not address the fact that he's getting excited, but look at his relationship overall between them, because it clearly needs to be a bit better defined. They have to mimic the behaviour of the top breeding pair more.
Right.
Now that is simply done in many cases by making the dog earn all the things that he likes, whether it's being fussed, being fed, being walked, all those things. Instead of them being available on demand, they must be the one to initiate them. And in that way, they maintain their right to do what they like without interference, without being distracted.
But why don't they just shut the dog out of the room?
Well, that's another option.
You know, rather than getting into all the psychological stuff, just kick the dog out.
What normally happens in those situations is the dog then starts to howl and scream and put you off that way. So, you know, you've got to address the fundamental issue.
So what you're saying is they've got to be sterner with the dog. They've got to give the dog, as you say, a system of reward and not punishment, but reward for doing the right thing.
Yeah, they've got to basically establish their relationship better so that the dog perceives them as having the right to cuddle and look like they're going to go on and produce puppies.
What he's saying to you, Kim, is you're too soft with your dog, basically. Do you think that's true?
We're not soft with him.
No?
No, I wouldn't say soft. No,
right.
no. I'd say less defined. We're probably behaving like most of us do in a very human way towards the dog, which is then confusing. In this situation, you've got a particular problem here. This isn't a problem that's going to be resolved by, say, having the dog castrated or throwing drugs into it. You know, we need to understand what's going on in here in the dog's mind.
So, all right, so they need a more ordered relationship with the dog,
and certainly not responding to the dog when he does do it.
Right.
Because that reward, that means that his policy's paying off. He can divert them and stop them mating. I suspect what he's actually trying to do is cordon off Kim for himself and keep the old man out of the way.
Good God. You shouldn't have said that.
We won't go any further than that.
No. All right, Kim. I mean, it's basically adjusting your relationship. What's your dog called?
Buck.
Buck.
Yeah.
Fine. OK, well, good luck with Buck. Let's move on to Sandra from Manchester. Morning, Sandra.
Morning.
Good morning. OK, you have a tortoise?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Go on, what's the problem?
Well, we've always thought that he's had a thing about rubber, but it's going on to leather as well now, especially trainers. Anybody who wears trainers, he tries to climb up on the feet. He bites and he attacks. But this summer he's been the worst he's ever been, and he mounted the wheels of the baby's buggy. And he was in full throes. The noise was terrible.
Oh, I know. We had a couple of tortoises in the studio once, and they got going after a few minutes, and then the noise is extraordinary. It's frightening. Why would a tortoise be going for rubber and leather?
It's a displacement, obviously, that there aren't other tortoises around for him to court and mate and so on. And so he's going for the sort of next best thing. And rubber toys and wheels and so on are accessible to a slow-moving animal like a tortoise. So. You know, he will make amorous advances. It's frustration, really, a frustrated tortoise. But
so it's not necessarily, it's not actually a rubber fetish. It's just that those are the objects that happen to be to hand.
Yeah, and we see a similar thing with dogs that will mount cushions or will chase the cat and so on and try to make sexual advances. Yeah. It's a lack of opportunity. And tortoises, although they're slow and they're fairly relaxed about life, when the call to mate comes, they're as responsive as any other animal.
Right. So what should she do about that, apart from taking all these things off the ground?
Well, one of the problems for tortoises is that now that all the import bans are there and they're very expensive, so acquiring a friend for him or a mate so that he can be social with is actually quite a costly enterprise. But there may be other local tortoise owners in the area, and they can have like group therapy.
What you're saying is we want a kind of contact magazine for tortoises.
That's
basically.
right. Yeah. I mean, we take on these animals, especially the sort of more exotic ones, the reptiles and the birds and so on, and we assume that they're going to make nice, well-behaved human pets, and of course many of them are still wild in their drives.
So what you suggest then, so Sandra, maybe you could put an ad, you're in Manchester, right? You could put an ad in the Manchester Evening News?
Yeah, maybe,
basically saying, that you've got a lonely heart who would like to meet up with another tortoise? Yeah?
Yeah, right, okay.
Because there must be other tortoise owners in Manchester, for goodness sake.
That's right, and there is a British Colonia Society, tortoises and turtles and so on, who I'm sure will have other members in the area who you could contact.
Fine, okay, well that's your solution, Sandra. Find another tortoise owner, preferably obviously a female. Right, Chris is next, he's calling from Norfolk. Morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
This is extraordinary, you've got a barn owl.
Yes, we've got a pet barn owl called Willow.
Yeah.
She's captive bred, and we've had her since she was about 3 weeks old.
Right. How old is she now?
She's just over the year,
Right.
and she's got the habit. We used to bring her indoors for a couple of hours of an evening
Yeah.
for company, and she seems to have fallen in love with me. And she...
How does she manifest?
The first thing she does when we let her off the jetties is to head for my head. And if I didn't get my hand there first, her talons would be on my head while she wiggled away and squawked, making love to me.
Oh my God, are you sure that's what she's doing?
Oh, yes.
Oh, dear.
Yes, I'm sure of it, because as I say, she does it every evening now, and sometimes several times.
A sort of treat. Are you bald?
I'm very thin on top, shall we say. It doesn't
all right.
help.
Okay, I just wondered if that was part of
She
the...
has actually mistaken a visitor for my head.
How embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, okay, his barn owl's in love with his head.
Yeah, owls of displeasure, I suppose. But,
Oh, God.
dear. What often happens, especially with animals that are reared from very tiny, is that they overbond and form strange relationships with people. In other words, the maternal side of it is maintained while you're feeding them, but then what do? There's a behavioural aspect to weaning or to growing up.
You can see this between species, can't you? Like ducks following dogs, thinking that they're puppets.
Yeah,
and all
exactly.
That. Yeah, right.
And that's fine, so long as there is a maternal care going on, where the substitute parent, us, is caring for the young animal. But if the young animal stays in social contact with us, or wants to stay in social contact, like a barn owl, then the confusions start to reign. So come the call of the wild, the day length and the temperature tell the barn owl to go look for a mate.
Yeah.
He hasn't been brought up with other
owls.
owls. He's bonded onto people, he's imprinted onto people. Right. And so all his energies get directed into...
or in this case, hers.
Or hers, onto Chrissy's head.
Well, is the solution, again, like the tortoise, find another barn owl, which will be very difficult, I would have thought.
It is, but there's two stages, really. There's a detachment from Chris, which again, he may not want to do. He may enjoy having a barn owl come in and be friendly with him, but not that friendly.
No, obviously.
So, yes, I mean, helping the animal to grow up, helping the bird to grow up, helping it to adopt a more wild lifestyle so that it will meet other owls and socialise with other owls is probably the long-term solution.
So he should be trimming down the amount of time that the bird's allowed in the house in the evening,
That's right,
basically.
and transferring the contact to the outside, perhaps, and feeding the owl outside so that the owl comes in for food, not for such close social contact.
Not for social contact,
And then gradually, as with most wild animals, the relationship will change and the owl will become more and more wild.
Chris, you must harden your heart, basically, is what we're saying. Can you, do you have that in you?
Sorry? Well,
I said you must harden your
really.
heart.
I mean, she hasn't formed this attachment with my wife. Although my wife feeds her.
Yeah, well, never mind, it's happening, isn't it? It's got to be dealt with.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna, basically, what Peter's saying is you're going to have to slowly detach from the relationship until finally the bird becomes more or less wild again. This, hard advice, but you've got to do it. Right, quick one from Victoria from Hampshire. Morning, Vicky.
Hello.
Hi. You say it, I'm not saying it, go on.
We've got this rabbit, and basically he keeps bonking our cat and my father's trouser legs.
On the trouser legs, I see.
Yeah, it's
Fine.
really embarrassing.
I don't. There couldn't be any fruit of the union, could there, between a rabbit and a cat? I mean, could there?
No, definitely not.
A rat. Okay.
Again, rabbits are social animals. They live in a big social group in warrens, and we tend to keep them in ones. Male rabbits especially, come the breeding season, come the spring, want to breed like rabbits, and unfortunately if there's only a cat around, they'll jump on the next best thing. You can have a chat with your vet about this, because rabbits can have a little anti-male hormone injection, or you can actually castrate a rabbit, which will save on the frustration stakes, because obviously if you bring a female rabbit in, you're going to produce lots of baby rabbits.
Right, okay.
So the cat, I should think, will learn how to give out of the way.
I don't think, is it a male cat or a female cat?
It's female.
She must be furious.
Well, she puts up with it for a bit, and then in the end she gets fed up and starts hitting him around the head. So. But he's quite persistent, unfortunately. Doesn't seem much good.
With rabbits, you have to be quite careful because they are quite powerfully built and they can
I was
scratch
once
you.
very badly attacked by a rabbit.
Yeah. And they also have a very strange courting procedure where they throw their hindquarters round and squirt urine and throw it at you as part of their mating build-up. So it can be
Right.
quite nasty.
Vicky, you want to take the rabbit to the vet? I think that's basically the answer. A couple of solutions available to you there. Thanks very much indeed, Peter. Thank you for all your calls. Well done. That was a weird one. All right, after the break, Montedon and I